The winner is Diane Keaton and Annie Hall.
Listen to me. This isn't just another Hollywood obituary. This is a reckoning. Diane Keaton is gone, 79 years old, California morning, October 11th, 2025, and the silence she leaves behind is heavy enough to bend steel. The headlines will talk about Oscars and wardrobes and turtlenecks. I'm going to tell you what mattered, the cost, the solitude, and the one love she could never hold. She learned early that the world doesn't hand you tenderness. You carve it out with bloody knuckles. Little Diane watched a bright, ambitious mother dim herself for the sake of appearances. A father who loved through steadiness, not speeches. The house was polite. The feelings were not. That kind of home teaches a child two things: how to smile for guests and how to suffer in private. She took both skills with her like knives. New York, 1966. She steps off a bus with a suitcase, 2 scripts, and a will that could crack granite. The room is cold, the radiator coughs, the window leaks. She is hungry. She is anonymous. She sings for spare change in basements that smell like old tobacco and broken plans. The city says, "You're not the type." She answers, "Watch me." That's real grit. No Instagram, no applause. Just a girl walking home in the wind because she'd rather shiver than quit. Hair, 1968. Barefoot audition. Not polished, honest. They tell her, "Don't change a thing." She doesn't. That's the first time the silence inside her learns a new language. Then the flood. The Godfather, 1972. She's Kay Adams, the only character who looks Michael Corleone's power in the eye and sees the ruin behind it. She doesn't shout. She witnesses. It's a harder form of courage. Then Annie Hall, 1977. Everyone calls it quirky. That's lazy. What you saw was a woman refusing to edit her soul. The laugh, the hesitations, the guard that never fully drops. That was a real human being in an industry built on wax figures. They handed her a golden statue. She took it home to a quiet kitchen and felt the cold edge of a truth successful people rarely admit. Recognition is loud, but it doesn't keep you company. Fame becomes a weather system. She works until her eyes sting, rewrites in dressing rooms nobody asked for, fear as fuel, perfection as a trap. Reds, 1981. Nearly burns her to ash. The mid-80s hit back. A stumble at the box office here. A frostbite review there. Lesser artists panic. She retreats, retools, and returns on her own terms. That's not glamorous. That's adult. Now I'll say the thing polite tribute reels won't. There was a ghost that followed her. His name was Al Pacino. They met as kids with old souls on The Godfather. And what rooted between them wasn't tabloid fireworks. It was the quieter catastrophe. 2 people who recognized each other's loneliness, then took turns not being brave enough at the same time. Here's the part that hurts. Years pass. Work stacks up. Their lives orbit the same sun, and she keeps hoping the orbit will become a home. Rome, 1990. She draws a line with a whisper. "Marry me or let me go." He answers with silence, the gentlest and most unforgivable no. She packs at dawn. The city looks golden and indifferent. On the flight back, the seat beside her is empty. It always was. Life rarely delivers grief one package at a time. Her father collapses. A diagnosis with teeth. Hospitals, fluorescent lights, the smell of endings. She loses 2 anchors at once. The man who would not choose her and the man who always did. She breaks the way the bravest people break. Privately, quietly, without theatrics, and then she keeps going. Therapy, work, long drives with the windows down, so the air can argue with her thoughts. If you want the scandal, here it is. The scandal of a woman who refused to be rescued. She doesn't pivot into bitterness or chase some headline romance. She builds. She adopts 2 children, Dexter and Duke, and discovers the only love that doesn't negotiate. She restores houses the way some people restore faith, piece by piece, beam by beam. She works with directors who respect craft over circus. Jack Nicholson, Keanu Reeves, Steve Martin, men who knew that opposite Diane you had to bring truth, not tricks. And when the town shifts to the next shiny lie, she grins and keeps doing the work. That's what grown women with spines do. People will say she was stylish. Sure, the hats, the blacks, the architecture. But style was just the wrapper. What she sold you, again and again, was permission. Permission to be strange and exacting, to age without begging, to laugh like your heart has already been broken and you're laughing anyway. She made vulnerability look like armor. She made self-respect look like grace. You want names? Fine. Francis Ford Coppola cast her against the grain and let the camera linger long enough for you to see a conscience. Woody Allen wrote her into a role that fit like a confession. Warren Beatty asked her to carry history like a hot coal in bare hands. Nancy Meyers threw her in with Nicholson and Reeves and let chemistry work like gravity. These weren't just movies. They were mile markers on the road of a woman making herself in public without flinching. And when the tributes came in, actors with reputations for cool detachment suddenly soft-voiced, directors rearranging their sentences mid-speech, you could hear the same coded message. She was the real thing. I know what my audience needs. No vague Hollywood secrets. No airy nonsense about a legacy of love. You want the hidden truth. Here it is. Diane Keaton won by outlasting the applause. She understood something most of that town never learns. Fame is just a loan. Work is the asset. Family is the dividend. And solitude, if you do it right, is not emptiness, it's a workshop. Was she wealthy at the end? Yes. But spare me the spreadsheets, the real estate, the art on the walls, the meticulously simple wardrobe. Those weren't a flex, they were order. In a world that kept slipping out of her hands, she made spaces that would stay. A garden that needed tending, floors that creaked on purpose, windows that caught the morning the way she liked it. Low, forgiving, honest. And then the final morning. The tea on the desk. The journal open, as always. Light through the window. A daughter calling out to a mother who had already stepped into the quiet she'd been taming her entire life. The industry did what it does. Montages, hashtags, 1,000 posts. And for once, it felt earned. Keanu Reeves, who learned from her what gentleness looks like in a cutthroat business, spoke with that deliberate sincerity only he has. Directors who hate sentiment turn sentimental. Old co-stars told stories they'd been holding like photographs. For a day, America put away its noise and remembered a woman who could hold a room by barely raising her voice. Now I'm going to talk to you the way she would have wanted, plainly. If you're from the generation that watched her grow, you know the value of restraint. You remember when adults acted like adults, when modesty was a virtue and wit had edges. Diane Keaton carried those values into rooms that mocked them. She didn't perform vulgarity to prove she was brave. She simply told the truth and let the chips fall. That's why you trusted her. That's why you miss her. What about Al Pacino, you ask? The ghost. He walked on stage years later and said, "I love you forever." The crowd erupted. She did not. She smiled the way a person smiles who has already cried every necessary tear. That's the kind of forgiveness real life demands. Not forgetfulness, not revision. Just a decision to keep your soul clean. That moment explains her better than any trophy case. Love alters us whether or not it stays. She took the alteration and built a life around the absence. That's strength. That's adult. That's Diane. And here's the last hidden truth. The great ones don't teach you how to be famous. They teach you how to live. She showed you how to keep showing up when your hands shake, how to be funny when the room is heavy, how to make things, films, homes, gardens, children, so that death, when it finally arrives, only gets to claim the body. The rest belongs to what you made. So what do we do with a loss like this? We do exactly what she modeled. We get up, we make the coffee, we do the work, we speak softly and mean it. We love people without owning them. We keep our houses in order, literal and otherwise. We keep a little mystery. We don't beg. We don't posture. We put something honest into the world and accept that not everyone will clap. If you were waiting for a grand moral, there it is, dignity. In a culture that punishes it, she practiced it daily. When the roles were brave, she took them. When they were beneath her, she declined. When her heart broke, she didn't weaponize it. When praise came, she let it land and then went back to work. That's a blueprint your grandchildren can use. Tonight, somewhere in Los Angeles, the wind moves through a garden she planted. Somewhere, a lamp she left on habitually is being switched off by a child who learned steadiness at her knee. Somewhere, a young actress is standing backstage, hands trembling, about to walk into the light and not pretend, but confess. That's the transmission line of a real legacy. Not noise, not memes, not fashion alone, but courage that reproduces itself in other people. Diane Keaton is gone, and no, the world will not be the same. But if you listen closely, to a line delivered without vanity, to a laugh that admits its own fragility, to the hush after honest words, you'll hear the same signal she sent her whole life. Be real, be kind, be tough. Don't wait to be chosen, build.